Welcome everyone to another episode of the Stray Pixels podcast, where regrettably, due to the disappointing performance of the last several episodes, we have been forced to sell off Jacob to Embracer Media Group. But thankfully, we sold them for the price of one guest appearance from Mr. Spencer the Legacy.
Hello, I'm from the other podcast. This is a cool, this is Flintstones Meet the Jetsons kind of thing, I guess. You know?
That's an old pool. I remember watching that as a kid.
Yeah, this is Turtles Forever, if you will.
All right. So as you guys can probably tell, this week we unfortunately could not make the timing work for our favorite Thembo. So we have a guest appearance from Mr. Spencer Legacy, who you probably have heard in almost every voiceover on the YouTube channel for the last several months. Yeah. Or on his podcast with Azario, Unqualified Game Chat. Spencer, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yeah, so I'm 5'11". I'm that's really it. That's all there is to me. I'm sorry.
You don't enjoy long walks on the beach?
Yeah, good long walk on the beach. Chocolates, wine. No, yeah, I'm a staff writer at Noisy Pixel. I do Unqualified Game Chat. I'm looking forward to a podcast where a little less berating. A little less of the.
Yeah, we promise not to roast you unnecessarily.
Yeah, not too hard. I can take a little bit. But yeah, no, it's great to be here. I like jumping around. I like the podcast, so I'm looking forward to this.
Sure, we're excited to have you. And of course, I'm also joined as usual by my fellow Noisy Pixel staff writer Nathan Mejia. Nate, how are you doing this week?
Doing pretty good. I've borrowed through a couple of games. I've got major progress through Trails in the Sky, which is a big deal to me.
So exciting.
And then I've been playing the next game I'm set to review, which I'm hoping to get that out here by the end of this week, by the latest.
Yeah,
Nice.
I just finally got to upload the last part of my Stanley Parable review, which hopefully will be up by the time this podcast goes up. But we will have to see. It took me a minute, but I am really proud of how it turned out. And if you are listening to this episode and not on our YouTube channel, I encourage you to go check it out because I am very, very pleased with it. It's weird.
It is weird. It's good.
it's gonna. No, Spencer, you haven't even seen. You have not seen the text for the review on the website and the video script are not the same.
Oh, that's interesting.
The video is going to be very different.
That's exciting.
But Azario did not shoot me down, no matter how many times I said that I was going to do it. So I'm taking that as permission.
That I'd take that as permission.
I
put a score at the end. That's all. That's all.
Yeah. Listen, what Azario doesn't know, it's not gonna hurt him. All right.
Really, Colin? Really? You think a bunch of our nerds are gonna want to watch this? Come on, man.
Did you even talk about the bathing suit DLC?
Stanley Parable bathing suit.
Stanley Parable bathing suit DLC.
I love how as often as I try to be like, no, there's more to Azario than bathing suit DLC. He just makes a straw man out of himself. He's like, no, that is the only thing you need to know about me.
Yeah,
I love bathing suit.
We've had at least, I would say, we've had at least one episode titled involving bathing suit DLC, and I'd say more than one if I had to. Guess. So,
I bet.
Yeah, he's he likes what he likes, Zario.
Yeah.
You try to make him a complex individual, and he's like, "No, I'm made of straw."
Yeah, I go, dude, Zario, let's develop you in this episode. Let's talk about like your fears or your past. And he's like, I fear no bathing suit DLC, and I was
just want to talk about waifus and bikinis.
Yeah. So.
And I walked into every Japanese interview I could asking about bathing suit DLC. And, life is pretty good.
All right, guys. So this was briefly touched upon in Unqualified Game Chat this week, but very obviously the biggest news of the week was Square Enix's decision to sell off almost the entirety of their Western development team to Embracer Media Group in Europe for $300 million with a very nefarious purpose in mind for that money. But we're gonna get to that in a second. So everything that was sold, they sold off Eidos Montreal, Square Enix, all of their Square Enix Western development team, and the IPs that all of those teams were working on, which includes obviously Deus Ex, Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, as was extensively. that was the primary thing being discussed.
That's the other thing he loves: Bathing Suit DLC and Legacy of Kain.
So the big hope for the positive that we might get out of this is obviously that Embracer has a track record of at least saying we want to put a bunch of our resources behind what we see as like the future of quality single player games, and they specify that pretty repeatedly, which is a very good sign considering that the last Deus Ex game had a stupid free-to-play microtransaction bullshit nonsense thing like stapled onto it no one asked for or cared about, just for the sake of trying to sell more microtransactions. So we kind of briefly in the staff server discussed the last couple entries in some of these series. Obviously Legacy of Kain has been dormant for a long time, but Tomb Raider has kind of undergone a reboot and then a fall into obscurity, to the point where the first game sold like 15 million copies, and then a lot of people forgot that Shadow of the Tomb Raider was even coming out. So and then you have the two most recent Deus Ex games, both of which performed below expectations to the point where they took Eidos Montreal completely off the project and put them on Guardians of the Galaxy, which, to be fair, was an exceptional use of their talent. But then that game also performed below expectations.
Yeah, they didn't sell 7.8 billion copies, so not quite up to the forecast.
You know, if your game isn't outselling Call of Duty by the end of first weekend, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's a failure.
Clearly, it needed more free-to-play microtransactions. That was what was missing.
No, you know what players like? They like RPG mechanics. We've got to get numbers going up, and our numbers go up.
Exactly. And they pay for the numbers. That really helps.
It does. It helps the numbers. Can you tell we don't really like this idea, people?
So we kind of discussed, but I want to put it out here. So what was your guys' experience, if any, with the most recent outputs from these studios? So that would be the Tomb Raider games, the new Deus Ex games, Guardians of the Galaxy. I put Guardians of the Galaxy in my top 5 games of last year. And I stand by that. It was great, and I think more people should know that. But I want to know what you guys thought. We'll start with Spencer.
Sure. I'm with you on Guardians. I love the IP of Guardians of the Galaxy. I've read the comics for a long time. I made a whole video about how much I liked this game that you can check out, and it's very silly, but
we'll link to it in the description.
Oh, perfect. Even better. Thank you. Azaria will get all mad at me on our podcast. You guys are like, oh, it's in the description. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Nate controls the descriptions.
Even better.
I can tell him to put whatever I want.
Yeah, he finally gave me upload access.
Oh, man, that's good. Yeah. But yeah, Guardians, loved it. Had an amazing time with it. Deus Ex, I've never played one. I know that hurts my capital G gamer credibility, but I own all of them. So
unfortunately, I think that's probably a common affliction, is owning all the Deus Ex games and having played maybe one of them.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get to them one day, And then for Tomb Raider, I played the first new Tomb Raider and I was like, oh, this is fun. I liked that. I played the second one and I was like, it's kind of boring. I like how the languages works, how like you learn language. That's neat. That's all I really remember about that game. And then the third one, my only memory with it is I went to E3 with Monstervine, who I work for, and my boss Austin and I went into, I think it was an Nvidia booth, and they were like, okay, to see how Nvidia works, you can see what is it called? Tumble of the Tomb Raider? Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Tumble of the Tomb Raider.
Tumble of the whatever it's called. Yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And I just remember a cutscene where a big flood happens and a baby dies, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Tense. And that's my only memory of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So but yeah, so I hope this means good things for these franchises, because some of them like Legacy of Kain are kind of dormant, and then others like I think Tomb Raider could use a little shake up. I'd love for it to get weird again, dinosaurs and shit, but
I'd be fine with that.
I think that'd be a cool opposite direction to take. Like they for a while everything was, oh, let's go grounded and serious, and that's fine for what it is, but I want a dual pistol wield against dinosaurs now and then.
I think that with Legacy of Kain, so to be clear, I'm too young to have like played it when it was in its heyday, but I think
here.
that part of the secret sauce that they're going to have some trouble with if they want to bring back Legacy of Kain is they're going to have to make Amy Hennig switch jobs again.
And she just announced that she's working on Star Wars. So it's going to take a while, if anything, because this is already like a redo. The Star, like she was on that. Was she on the Darth Maul project? She was on the Star Wars project.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, "This is exciting," and then that got scrapped. So this is already like a redo for her. So I don't know if like professionally she'll want to do another thing right after, but I'd be open to it.
I could see it if they wiggle their butt in just the right way and go, hey, there's a legacy project that you worked on before here waiting. I can see that.
Basically, if they're like, do whatever you want with it, like have creative freedom with it, I think that would go a long way.
Absolutely.
That would go a long way.
All right, Nate, how about you recent Western Square Enix titles?
Yeah, recent Western Square Enix titles, just all across the board. I've played Tomb Raider, the first one. It was good. I liked it a lot. I then heard Rise was going to be Xbox exclusive for a year, and I went, oh, that's going to hurt sales on it. And then I didn't play it. At least an extra console would have helped.
No, I know. I'm saying that like it still sold fine.
And then I never played Shadow because by that time I had just forgotten, and I have it free. PSN gave it to me for free. I just never played it.
Did PSN give that out for free?
Yeah, PS Plus. Yeah.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah.
I own all three of them in physical. So the scene that Spencer was talking about, there's actually two floods, but I believe he's referring to the one from the beginning of the game that I think a lot of people that did play this game, this specific sequence probably gave them some darkness induced audience apathy is what the trope is called, because holy shit, Laura accidentally destroys an entire Mexican village full of people, and a lot of them probably die. And I remember getting
it's
to
Mexican
that.
people, huh?
Yeah,
I get it. I see how this goes.
Well, most of the game takes place in Mexico. If I remember correctly.
I never knew. That's how.
If I remember right,
Mexico and South America.
Weren't they just chilling? Like, wasn't it like a festival or something?
Yeah, it was a festival.
It wasn't like evil people. It was just people chilling and having fun.
At the beginning of the game, she's like walking through a festival trying to meet up with a contact, and then she talks to her person, and then she has to basically race Trinity to a MacGuffin that turns out to be load bearing, and she removes it. It's a knife, and the whole village gets like obliterated in a flood. And she's like upset about it, but she's not like quite as upset as I would have. And it,
Yeah.
I guess they should have built a wall.
So that was the beginning of the game, and I was put off for a while. I did eventually go back and finish it. Shadow is fine. It's just really white saviory in a way that I don't like, and that's not a hot take by any means.
That's especially weird when it starts with her being the opposite. Like the fact that it turns around into that after she like destroys a bunch of people. That's pretty crazy. That's crazy to hear.
But I am thankful that like the Trinity thing is resolved and we could theoretically move on to something else now. That being said, if I remember correctly, Shadow was not primarily developed by Crystal Dynamics, because by that point they were working on Marvel's Avengers.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
Because that came out in 2020, Shadow came out in 2018. So that does kind of line up. Unfortunately, Marvel's Avengers was obviously a massive waste of their effort and talent. So
God, that poor game. Man, I saw that at E3 and I was like, this is cool. An Avengers game. How exciting. I love the Avengers. And they were so passionate when I talked to them, and I was like, this is going to be sick.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rough.
My first reaction was when that trailer came out for that game, I was like, is that not Robert Downey Jr.?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of like, we're pseudo
we're legally distinct.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was they were like, and all the interviews they're like, we're doing our own take, and I was like, all right, that's fine.
The Eidos Montreal making Guardians of the Galaxy, that was something I would say was their own take. Like the characters in the Guardians of the Galaxy game are very different like portrayals of the characters than they are in the movies. They're in a totally different point in the relationship. Like it's obviously we wrote a story that we were really passionate about with these characters, as opposed to we had to jam these people into something that didn't directly copy an Avengers movie. And that's kind of why the plot of Marvel's Avengers is really dumb. And you don't fight supervillains, you fight robots and
clones of Taskmaster
and soldiers and cool.
All of our
the thing that everybody wanted out of a superhero game is fighting completely normal enemies
as reskin heroes who were added later, like Hawkeye and Thor and Thor.
So the good news out of all of this, again, is Embracer has a history of wanting to push forward with single player titles, and I am hoping that with that extreme budget price that they bought these studios for, that some of that is kind of being able to offset any costs that they're incurring in development for this stuff, because obviously the reason why a lot of these companies are hesitant to make single player focused games is because you can't keep monetizing every purchase over and over and over again. You have to make all of your money up front with just a quality product right out of the gate. And it seems like they're confident in that sector of the market, and good for them. That's what I and a lot of other people want. Unfortunately, what Square Enix wants is different.
It's money.
If you guys don't mind, I haven't read any of this on the podcast before, but on literally January 1st this year, the president of Square Enix, Yosuke Matsuda, posted an open letter on the Square Enix website outlining a truly dystopian view of the future. So I'm going to read as much of that as I can stomach.
It's grim.
A New Year's letter from the president. I would like to begin by wishing everyone a happy new year. Okay, good. Strong start. Love that. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
The Metaverse, immediate downward
Yeah.
we're already going down. The metaverse was a hot topic in 2021, inspiring a lively global conversation, first about what the metaverse is, and then about what sort of business opportunities it presents. Against this backdrop, Facebook changed its name in October to Meta, serving as evidence that the concept is not a mere buzzword, but here to stay. The metaverse garnered so much attention that 2021 was dubbed the Metaverse year. By who?
Yeah, that's not the year
Citation
VR chat came
needed.
out.
I attribute this in large part to advances in extended reality technology, the increasing prevalence of the cloud and 5G, more sophisticated blockchain technology, and other technological evolutions that have taken place in a variety of fields over the past several years. That is because these advances are giving rise to services that fall under the metaverse umbrella. The metaverse will likely see a meaningful transition to a business phase in 2022, with a wide range of services appearing on the scene. As this abstract concept begins to take concrete shape in the form of product and service offerings, I'm hoping that it will bring about changes that will have a more substantial impact on our business as well. So I understand how if you like really weren't paying attention to the trajectory to the trajectory of the entire concept of the metaverse, like this could seem like a juicy business idea. But to be clear, by January 1st, this thing was already spiraling.
Yeah.
The entire thing. Like this was already embarrassingly outdated in terms of an earnest interpretation of the concept of the metaverse.
Absolutely.
And it only gets worse. Another term that gained quick currency in 2021 was NFT, or non-fungible token. The advent of NFTs using blockchain technology significantly increased the liquidity of digital goods, enabling the trading of a variety of such goods at high prices and sparking conversations the world over. I see 2021 not only as Metaverse year one, but also as NFTs year one, which is a fascinating statement because NFTs were invented in like 2018.
Yeah.
Given that it was a year in which NFTs were met with a great deal of enthusiasm by a rapidly expanding user base.
That's generous.
Yeah.
Which is false. To be clear, they wanted you to believe that they were a rapidly expanding user base. They were absolutely not. This was an extremely limited number of people that were pretending that this was a revolution.
Yeah.
Nate, do you have something to say?
So yes, I have a little bit of inner working on this, just a little bit.
Go for it.
So NFTs technically do have an expanding user base. See my Dr. Evil expanding user base quotations. So what happens is a lot of times these developers make their images, implement their blockchain MIT. They then start giving away some in hope of rapidly getting these through the door. People have them, and then they start pumping the value as fast as they can. And when that go in, so it's first batch of people are likely to make money because they're likely to tell their friends, hey, get on this. And then they start getting money, and then that's when the pump starts really happening. That's where they're Rob Steiner at this point, pop a pump. And then they just let it crash. Because once there's too many of them out in the wild, they let it crash.
Sure. We're gonna go into this a little bit more in the second half. I'm gonna skip forward a little bit in this letter to some of the truly heinous crap. So he goes on to basically outline, here's what I've seen in terms of like the advancement in blockchain technology. Here's some of the use cases that I have supposedly seen happening. And we go on. I realize that some people who play to have fun, in quotes, and who currently form the majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these new trends, those new trends being play to earn or play to contribute games where you like earn NFTs over the course of playing a game. And understandably so. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. Traditional gaming has offered no explicit incentive to this latter group of people who were motivated strictly by such inconsistent personal feelings as goodwill and volunteer spirit. This fact is not unrelated to the limitations of existing user-generated content, and user-generated content has been brought into being solely because of individuals' desire for self-expression and not because any explicit incentive existed to reward them for their creative efforts. So, if you have not cottoned on, this is him directly stating or really, really heavily implying that people who play to have fun just aren't doing it the right way. They're not experiencing the games in the way that they're not contributing to any sort of overall community. Never mind the millions and millions of subscribers for Final Fantasy XIV that have an infamously tight-knit community. Never mind the gaggles and gaggles of Kingdom Hearts fans out there who spend years and years and years theory crafting together on Twitter. No, they're not earning money and earning Square Enix money by the act of playing the game. So they're not as good as people that are playing to... This is some
brutal
dystopian bullshit right here.
Gosh, I love monetizing every single aspect of my life. Man.
This is the explicit rejection of the idea of art for its own sake and the embracing of the idea of art is a product intended to be sold, and if it's not always being sold and always making money, then it is failed as art.
He's got a good point, you know? Art for the sake of it? When has that ever worked? When has that ever caught on? Can we name one masterpiece built under those under such crazy wacky goalposts? No, it's obviously all the real masterpieces come from heavily monetized decisions. That it always turns out right.
Just look at Babylon's Fall.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a near crossover. It's got to be good.
We're recording this the day after the story broke that Babylon's Fall has hit 1 concurrent player on Steam.
It's Yoko Taro seeing how they did the content.
The one player actually did come forward on Twitter to be like, "Oh shit,
that's brave. That's a brave individual."
Which is impressive. I don't know how you can play this game alone. It is explicitly not designed to allow you to play by yourself because the game doesn't rebalance itself if you're only in a party by yourself.
What is he gonna do? Tell his friends to play Babylon's Fall?
Yeah, that's rough too.
So obviously this is something that Matsuda did not walk back, despite the fact that this was trending on Twitter for days as people just rightfully clowned on this entire thing because it's ridiculous. Again, he posted this letter when we were already in the middle of the NFT market, especially shrinking really dramatically, and he just boldly is like, "No, this is still the future." And I'm gonna throw as many resources as I have to make this a viable business plan.
That's dedication. I'll give him that.
We don't have the money to give a fully voice acted expansion to the biggest MMO on the planet.
Yeah, but
we definitely have the money to try and sell you crypto bullshit.
Look, it's the funny monkey picture, but with cloud hair, with Buster Sword. It's pretty good.
Oh my god! I have to tell Ryuji to change the thumbnail now. Why didn't I have him do that already?
Oh my god!
Why didn't I think of that? So responses to this from within the company were pretty lukewarm, obviously because everybody kind of has to play ball with what upper management wants. Yoshi P pretty explicitly came out and said, "No, we're not planning on adding NFTs to Final Fantasy XIV." As several million people breathed a sigh of relief that they weren't about to follow up their most critically acclaimed expansion yet, with stupid crypto bullshit that less than 1% of the player base would possibly ever want.
Yeah.
But we don't know if any of this stuff is going to pop up in Final Fantasy 16. We don't know the degree to which they are intending to go through with this, because they just announced that $300 million that they got is going towards this. They said it was going towards AI technology, cloud technology, fix the Kingdom Hearts cloud version, please, and blockchain technology.
Yeah.
So regardless of what anyone wants, this does appear to be happening.
Yeah.
Oh, Square Enix.
But so for clarity, people think it's for Bitcoin, blockchain, stuff like that. Blockchain can be used for other things. More broadly, it might be used to improve those cloud versions, but it doesn't necessarily mean NFTs. We just think it does.
Because that's why I read that letter, is because it's extremely important context to this decision. And I'm not the only person that I've seen, making sure that we give this another examination. Zeppela, one of the more prominent Final Fantasy 14 content creators, actually did so on stream and went on at length with her issues on this matter. But it's a lot to take in. Again, it is dystopian to think about the implications of this actually happening.
It really is. It's, man, Square Enix loves weird choices, and they love committing to them. So they're keeping that trend up.
So obviously what we're hoping for is that this doesn't completely explode and then they decide, oh, well, I guess we're going to have to pull resources out of these other things that people actually wanted because we lost a bunch of money trying to make this work.
What's Disney's stance on NFT? Because I can't see them doing that with Kingdom Hearts if Disney's like, nope. So I'm curious about that.
I feel like I remember seeing. Hang on.
There's something about it. I think their feelings are pretty lukewarm, and I know originally they found
Disney NFTs exist.
Okay.
So
they might be open to it for Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, they released their first mint in November 2021. It was called Disney Golden Moments.
Is that where they're selling concept art or stills of like favorite animated moments from their movies?
It looks like they were like JPEGs of figurines of like stills. So like there was some effort put into this, but that doesn't matter because I'm sure that all of these immediately depreciated immensely in value, which is the thing that we're going to talk about in the second half of this episode.
Yeah.
So we will be right back. And when we come back from our break, we're going to discuss a sordid history of NFTs in gaming because, it's looking bleak. So we will be right back. See you guys in a minute. All right. So in the first half of this episode, we kind of talked about Square Enix's decisions to focus really heavily, apparently, on the blockchain market, and our hope for what, if any, silver lining there is from this entire situation. The second half of this episode, we're just going to dunk. We're just going to do some good old-fashioned dunking because there, unfortunately, is a long history of NFTs in video games already. And basically all of it has turned out just embarrassingly terrible. We're not even going to mention the literal hundreds, I'm sure at this point, of NFT projects that have promised a video game as part of their stupid launch. Because we'd be here all day. So Nate, do you want to kind of explain for us the basics of what all of these projects have in common, which is blockchains and NFTs? Give us the elevator pitch summary.
All right. So the elevator pitch summary of what a blockchain is think about you have 5 computers all linked together, networked together. Computer 1 solves a Sudoku puzzle. Computer 2 solves that same Sudoku puzzle, looks at things, make sure they both got them right, passes it to 3, the third computer, goes so on and so forth. This is good because this, in theory, is good because this ensures security thing and that the original file is still the original file. The bad thing is that these computers all have to be on to be passed to. If any of them are off and they can't be passed to, they either skip over, reducing security, or terminate right then and there. Obviously, most of these won't terminate, they'll just pass. NFT is putting a file onto that blockchain and passing it down all the way through. However, the way it works right now is that it's not a file, it's a link to that file that anybody can right click, copy, save as. The actual picture that's representing the NFT is non-essential for what the NFT is, which is unfortunate.
And like just to be clear, if you haven't heard all of this before, NFTs aren't literally just JPEGs. They are like lines of code that are associated with those JPEGs. Usually they can like do a very limited amount of things. For example, in a lot of these games, the NFTs are directly linked to in-game items or powers or concepts. And that is something that unifies a lot of these projects. That is something that a lot of the bigger developers that have tried to go in on this have tried to advertise it with. And that is one of the use cases that supposedly could change the entire industry, according to a lot of the people that are trying to sell you NFTs.
Rest in peace, Mike Shinoda.
I'm so sorry, because I'm sure we've all had the experience of someone that we thought was really cool just jumping onto this trend, seemingly not knowing anything about it. We're all hoping for a lot of them that it's just their agency like pushing it onto them or something, but some of them have gone complete like no balls on and it's sad. So the big thing that a lot of these people try to sell you on is, okay, so what if you could buy like a weapon skin that you could use in in Apex Legends? But you buy it as an NFT, and that NFT could grant you that same skin but in Fortnite. And all of these people that are pitching this to you have absolutely no idea how any of that would have to work, because there's no way that the same texture file would work in all of these games right off of the bat, just for starters. And for 2, you'd have to get all of these companies to agree to work together and make that happen. And for 3, that's called downloadable content, and it's something that we already have. And that is like the key that binds all of these projects together, is none of them require the blockchain to function the way that they do. Basically, all of them you could do just as easily with what we call Web 2.0 protocol, and it wouldn't burn down the Amazon rainforest in the process. So Spencer, you had already gotten the chance to briefly touch on one of these in Unqualified Gamer Chat. Would you like to clown?
I would. I definitely would. Team 17, you may know them as publishers of Worms, Golf with Your Friends, all sorts of fun little titles that might bring you joy. And one day they announced on Twitter, we're making Worms NFTs, and they were so confident and excited. They were like, this is it. They showed a weird 3D purple worm. They were like, this is it. This is the future of gaming. And immediately a lot of people being like, no, that sucks. To the point where the developers of Worms were like, we did not agree to this. So not only were they facing outward opposition, they were facing internal opposition that they didn't consult about, to the point where a day later, maybe a day and a half if I'm being generous, they posted, we have decided that we will not be making NFTs. We've listened to our teams and to our wonderful community, and we will not be doing that. Thank you for your input. And it's so funny because it's so fast. Immediately, as soon as it changed, they were like, "Oh, well, okay, all right, they're not gonna fall for it."
The
And
executives
it's
just
so
retreating back into their shells, and
Yeah.
like that was big news, because that was the moment where all of us went, "Oh God, even the indie publishers aren't safe from this bullshit."
Yeah. So it's good that it got walked back, but it's also really funny.
Yeah.
Because it was so fast.
And obviously the other big publisher that has already announced their plans to do this and have yet to officially walk them back is Ubisoft, who announced Ubisoft Quartz shortly before the catastrophic decline of the NFT market, and have yet to say anything else on the matter. Are they canceled? Probably, but they don't want to admit it. What I'm hoping for is that a lot of these aren't just like these companies deciding to try and wait out the storm and then launch,
That's the vibe
a
I
year
get.
from now, after the whole, market crash has already happened. Because to be clear, NFT sales are already down by like 90% from September of last year, and we're like 7 months on from that. This bubble, like, it really wasn't a bubble. It was a balloon that was just inflated, and now it has popped very dramatically.
And they're blowing into the ripped balloon. And it's just going through.
It's making a sad noise. It sounds like a fart.
And they're like, "Get on it, you'll float." And everyone's like, "I don't know about that. I'm not sure."
This balloon can still go to the moon, we promise, guys.
Yeah.
Nate, you're up. Who do you want to dunk on?
All right. So I'm not going to dunk on a publisher that we know. I'm going to dunk on a pay-to-earn game called Axie Infinity.
Ooh, this was one of mine too.
Yeah,
go for it.
So Axie is basically an NFT game where the NFTs are monsters that you breed and fight and collect.
It is Pokemon with NFTs.
It is NFT Pokemon, yes. So here's the funny part is when I first looked into it, when it was first brought to my attention was in October of 2021. At that point, you had to spend $200 per Axie, per these little fucking NFTs to even get into the game. You had to spend money right away just to get into the game. Now I'm looking at the prices and I can spend a hot $20 on one of these bad boys. Spicy $20. And of course, it's all going through, and I've seen some that are reaching 1,000, but they're much, much rarer rather than when I first looked, when I gripped my heart like it was a telenovela, and I went, "Oh, Dios mío, I can't do this." And a lot of this is attributed to Ethereum going to Ethereum 2.0. But I'm looking at the game, and it doesn't even look like that great. Like the concept art looks fine.
none of these games look even decent.
Like the concept art looks really neat, but that's all I can say about it, is that the concept art is neat.
And it's because so many of these are not a game first. They're an NFT vehicle first, and then a game. And that's not a good way to make a game.
Yeah, no. And not only that, is I thought I was paying Square Enix to get a second job. They want to make this game your second job, legitimately.
No, they want to make this game your first job.
Yeah.
To go in a little bit deeper on this. So Axie Infinity is very famous as a pay-to-earn game. So you buy in, you get your team, and then you fight other people's teams in order to basically earn the game's like token. And they made a huge deal out of the fact that for a period of time, some people in the Philippines were able to like some people of lesser means, we'll go with, in the Philippines were able to make a meager living off of just playing Axie Infinity. That is 100% not the case anymore, but the reason why you have to buy into this game is because it's a pyramid scheme. All of these things are at their core pyramid schemes because they are designed to get you to buy Ethereum so that people who already bought it before you can cash out. You have to buy in at a higher price. So Axie Infinity, the people that are making money can only make money if new people keep joining and minting more Axies. That is the only way to get money out of this stupid machine. So now that the market for them has so thoroughly crashed, I am guaranteeing you that there is no way these people are able to make even like anything resembling minimum wage off of playing this game.
Now it's like those weird apps like Mistplay where it's like you play a game and you get 8 cents towards an Amazon gift card.
I did those. I've done those before.
I've done those. Yeah, I've done those. So
it's tempting.
It's tempting, but it makes those games miserable. Because you're like, all right, I just played an hour of this game and I got 10 cents.
Yeah.
The other fun thing with Axie Infinity, I'm not letting this go by until I mention that they were hacked in March.
I forgot about that.
And something in the realm of $620 million worth of Ether was taken from their servers. So this is why Axie Infinity specifically has crashed so miserably. But the FBI has said that the hackers were state sponsored by North Korea.
Kim Jong-un's when get me those Axies.
NFTs is nothing safe.
And to be clear, NFTs and cryptocurrency are horrifyingly unsecure currencies. Like these hacks happen fucking weekly at this point. They can be done by people who are complete idiots, as we've seen from 2 extremely famous idiots that got famous stealing about $4 billion worth of cryptocurrency and then trying to flip it into USD using gift cards. And one of them is a rapper with extremely cringy videos that are on YouTube to this day. And all someone needs in order to steal all of your cryptocurrency is the password to your wallets, to your Coinbase account, to your MetaMask account. It's horrifying how easy all of this shit is.
To be fair, if you have the password, it makes everything easier for everything.
The other amazing thing about this game is that even within this game, we've found some horrifying capitalist bullshit. Because if you couldn't afford the buy-in price for Axie Infinity, but you still wanted to play the game, you could rent Axies from people that had already bought them.
Oh my god.
So people became NFT landlords, renting out their Axies to people who couldn't afford the buy-in cost.
That's rough.
Nightmare, capitalist nightmare right here.
And to pay it off, you had to give like so much of your winnings with those Axies and stuff. That was how people were making money for the longest time. Because I wasn't playing the game, I was making you play the game.
It reminded me of way back when I used to drive for Lyft, how they would be like, oh, well, if you don't already have a car, we've partnered with, such and such car rental company to allow you to rent a vehicle to ride around and do your ride share. And it only costs like 70% of whatever you were going to make.
Oh, that's so dire.
Yeah, that was the vibe that I got. Okay, so my turn. My favorite stupid NFT project game is a game called Earth 2. If you've never heard of this game, Earth 2, basically the developers quote created unquote a grid-based 3D model of the planet Earth. I say quote unquote because we don't know if they made it themselves or if it was stolen from somewhere. and they sell it off piece by piece as NFTs, functionally to have all of the NFT owners play just a giant scale game of Civilization. That's all that this is, because like if the plot of land that you buy has like a mineral mine on it, then you as the player now have access to the minerals from that mine. It goes deep and it gets stupid because they have promised and promised and promised a lot from this game and then never delivered on any of it. Like they've been at this for like a year and they still have yet to even really get like gameplay functioning for this stupid thing.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this is the same game with the commercials I see where it's like my girlfriend pissed me off, so I bought her apartment complex.
yes, this is that.
This game has terrible mobile game commercials. Oh man, I gotta check that out.
And like they're like, you have to get in now so you can get the most desirable pieces of land in the game. And it's like, oh my God, this is already descending into more late stage capitalist nightmares, because like so many of these games are all about getting in early and then pulling up the ladder behind you.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a pyramid scheme. You want to get in as soon as possible, get the thing pumped, and then sell your stuff off by getting, you know, the poor rubes who are falling for it to buy in at a higher price than you. That is how all of this works. It is a zero-sum game. So in order for any of this stuff to have value, you have to pretend that it has value and sell it to other people, telling them, oh, it's only going to get even higher, and it's not.
So it's like the stock market.
Yeah.
Like at least the stock market has like real world associations with it, right? Like, yes, a lot of it is super speculative. Yes, you have to, you know, get other people to buy in higher for you to make your money off of it. But like events in the real world, in meat space, like affect the stock market. This is 100% scam and speculation based.
Yeah.
And anyone telling you that that your you know, late purchase of an Axie, of a plot of land, of a Ubisoft Quartz, of a Worms NFT is going to appreciate in value is lying to you.
Yeah.
Because they need to cash out.
Yep.
That is how all of this started. That is how all of it keeps going.
Yes. No, that is definitely how it all started. I have a funny story, but we can save that for later.
I mean, hey, if you want it, unless Spencer, unless you have another dunk you've got in mind.
I'm good to hear the story.
Sure.
Yeah. So as experiment, I was like, okay, we'll give blockchain, Bitcoin, all that a chance. Let's go ahead. I have a very open mind about stuff. And if I'm wrong about something, I'll do it. So I was like, I bought $10 worth of Bitcoin pretty late. I think it was last year, November. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit on it and buy no more, buy no less, see where it goes. That thing only trended down. When I finally pulled out, I had lost $3 to $4 easy out of my $10 investment. That's 40% gone.
That's rough.
No, that's 140% gone.
140%? Oh,
because you lost your entire initial
spent.
investment.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, because when I pulled back out, I didn't even get nothing. Which, you know, that's thing. And I was like, holy crap, how are people like still buying into this? How are they still? I'm looking at these crypto bros and they've bought into it. They've effectively, like, they think this is the coming of Christ. And I'm like, no, you can't do it. Because first of all they're doing is they're redoing capitalism in a digital space.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh, it's decentralizing the money. So what are you guys motherfucking doing? You're re-centralizing it?
Yeah, because in order to get there's no use case for Bitcoin because you can't use it to buy drugs anymore. So in order to get anything out of it, you have to convert it back into a fiat currency.
Yeah.
So you can spend it.
Yeah. So, it wasn't as funny as I thought it was, and not as long as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, no, like I've tried it. I have sat down and I've earnestly tried thing because I've been so down on my luck that it was, what? Fuck it. And that's what they're hoping on, is that enough people will go, you know what? Fuck it. And they'll just lose their money. Not everybody is as good as me on it. If they ever make an NFT slot machine, I'm effed, because then there's where I start pumping $1,000. Just let me pull the handle one more time.
And there's a bunch of them that work like this now too. Axie Infinity is one of them, where a lot of these games work on mint on demand systems. So that's part of your buy-in cost, is the NFT that you're getting is randomly minted when you buy the thing, as opposed to all of them being made in advance and then sold off one by one. And a lot of these now have basically become NFT loot boxes, where like you pay the same price as anybody else, but yours could be dog shit right out of the gate, or it could be epic tier, but you already spent the $200. So to the people who make the thing, it really doesn't matter what you got because they already got their money.
A meeting of the best two ideas ever: NFTs and loot boxes.
Yeah.
There's this statistic that I quite like about multi-level marketing schemes that I think almost certainly applies here too, and that is there's so little chance of you making money on top of your investment in a multi-level marketing scheme that you would genuinely have a better chance of profiting if you put that money into a slot machine at a casino. I think that is 100% true for the NFT market as it stands right now. And I think that it's heinous that any of these companies are still earnestly trying to go through with it, seeing what we've seen right now. Because like even the most famous original like NFTs we're already seeing have depreciated astonishingly in value.
So if you're gonna buy an NFT, just go gamble, dude. At least you get funny colors.
Yeah, at least you might actually finally play a Konami game.
Yeah, exactly. You can see the remade Snake Eater cutscenes.
Yeah.
So one of the big original ones when we were first hearing about this, when this was the next big thing, was Jack Dorsey selling his first tweet as an NFT.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
It was purchased for $2.9 million. The current estimated value is just under $280.
Oh my god.
Yep.
That is the market that Square Enix Japan has decided that it wants to enter into. So I think the only move here is to make sure that this fails, because it really doesn't matter what else it costs.
Yeah.
No, it really doesn't. And what's really weird is, upon my research for this topic, I actually ran it, like Google first, second, and third responses was crypto-oriented websites, where they're hailing this as a good thing, because this is the big step that crypto needs to get into the gaming space. And I'm like, holy crap, Google. But,
yeah, that's fair.
So many of these companies are, because that's the thing, is crypto was initially billed as, we're going to get money back into the hands of the ordinary person. This is a revolution. This is a decentralization, and it's just not. Like, the people that are making it big on crypto were people that already had money. I'm gonna put two videos that one of which you've probably already seen in the description of this episode, either on YouTube or on your podcatcher app. One of them is Dan Olson's "Line Goes Up: The Problem with NFTs," but the other one is one that I don't think a lot of people have seen yet. It's Munecat's Web 3.0, a libertarian dystopia. And she makes the ultimate conclusion that this isn't a case of, you know, the 99% fighting the 1%. Crypto is the 5% trying to become the 1%. That's just how it's ended up. The people who already had the money to buy all these rigs and to invest in all this technology and to get in early are the only ones that are going to make anything off of it now.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I'm not saying that everyone that buys into it now, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm saying there is a huge marketing campaign to get ordinary people in on crypto right now. You've probably seen dozens upon dozens of YouTube ads for it.
I've seen Matt Damon telling you to be brave.
Yeah.
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 Like the Romans.
For Robinhood, for Coinbase, for crypto.com.
Yeah.
You saw it during the Super Bowl because they had a whole block of ads that was just trying to push you on buying cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're bad. I'm not even necessarily saying you're dumb, but I'm saying that you need to look into the thing and pull out whatever money you possibly can, because this is a losing game.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't do this 3 years ago, you are going to lose all of your money.
Yep.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, all we can do is hope that the dramatic and inevitable failure of this business venture doesn't drag down things that we actually want from Square Enix in the process.
Yeah.
Obviously, Yoshida has said no NFTs in Final Fantasy 14, like I already said, but we don't know if he's going to be able to hold the line on that one. It certainly seems like they're going to get aggressive on this, more aggressive than any of the other publishers that we've seen. I really quick want to touch on the other theory that this is Square Enix getting themselves in a sellable position so that they can be bought up by Sony.
I saw that.
I don't know. I don't know about that right now. Sony is not a stranger to the NFT market, unfortunately. But I also don't know that this is still the move that they're going to make if they don't have a lot of the IPs that they just sold off. It could happen. But right now, what we're looking at is just what Square Enix themselves has said they are going to do with this.
Yeah.
And that is push this as hard as they can. And we just got to fight back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty easy to do. It's not going to be anything good anyways. So
just keep dunking on them. Every time they announce one of these plans, just keep making how stupid it is trend on Twitter. Like they're going to get the message eventually. Square Enix is not quite as you know, boomer minded as Nintendo. They have changed their mind on things. Hopefully we as a fandom and as a community can get them to pull back on this.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping. Before
they dump, you know, an entire Final Fantasy mainline game's worth of budget into
Cloud Monkeys.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys. I'm excited for that NFT Mario trading card game that's going to be announced in 2 years.
That would be very them. Spencer, do you have any closing thoughts on NFTs and games on Square Enix on any of this?
Keep them out of my games. I just want to listen, Square Enix, I love you. I know I shouldn't. You've betrayed me many a time, but I keep coming back because you guys make things that I like. And gosh, I just really hope you guys see the light, because I just want to play Final Fantasy, dude. Just leave me be and let me do that. That's all I got.
How about you?
Yeah, pretty much echoing things. Like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this concept. I'm not a big fan of trying to brook money into games which they've already roped money into games. And far enough as far as I'm concerned, but I'm just hoping, I'll just keep making fun of them and that'll help change something. That's the only thing we can do, right?
Yep. Make fun of them and don't buy into it.
Yeah.
I'm aware that this is a heavily political topic, and I have not shied away from that, nor did I have any intention of doing so. But I want to make it clear that this is a political episode in response to a political move by Square Enix. This is an explicit endorsement of all of this bullshit and all of this hyper capitalist nightmare that these people are trying to make happen, and they're going to fail. But it looks like they're going to burn a whole lot of money in the process and probably lose a lot of retail customers, everything that they invested. Yeah. So that's where we're at. I just real quick want to say that I support Bungie in what they're doing right now, which is tweeting in support of women's reproductive rights. I think that was really cool of them, and I wanted to make sure that got mentioned. It's not a whole topic's worth of discussion, because obviously
we can make
it's
it
the right thing to do.
Because that marketing guy was on something, telling people to fuck off.
Yeah, cool. Love that. Go for that. I love that energy. So we have a good guy and a bad guy this week, but it's a lot to deal with. If you guys want to ask any questions about what we think about it further than this, feel free to do so in the comments. And that's all I got for this week. So I want to thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Straight Pixels podcast. We post every Tuesday on your podcast app of choice and on the Noisy Pixel YouTube channel. Again, what do you guys think about any of this? Is there anything that you guys have thought of that we haven't thought of? Or are there any other NFT games that you want to clown on and you want us to join in on the fun? Let us know in the comments on YouTube, or let us know on Twitter. You can find me, Colin, at the Arcane Ranger. You can find Nate at Less Than Nathan, and you can find Spencer at Spencer_MV, or the site itself at Noisy Pixel News. The Stray Pixels podcast is brought to you by Noisy Pixel. We're run by a group of gamers who work hard to bring you the latest news, reviews, podcasts, and more. Please like, subscribe, and follow to keep up with our future content, and we will see you guys next week.